My name is Marco Reyes, and I'm 35 years old. I live in a small house in the suburbs of San Diego, where the November air still carries the scent of jasmine and eucalyptus instead of snow. It's a modest place with sun-faded stucco walls and a chain-link fence I reinforced myself last spring. I work as a handyman, a job that's not glamorous but pays the bills and keeps my hands busy. To most people, I probably look ordinary: worn Carhartt shirt, steel-toed boots, and a beat-up Ford pickup parked in the driveway. But I don't mind. I like the simple life, quiet and unpretentious. What few people know is that tucked away in investment accounts I've quietly built over the past 12 years, there's enough money to change everything. This secret I keep to myself, even from my family. Today is a warm Tuesday afternoon, 3 days before Thanksgiving. The California sun filters through my kitchen window as I sit at my small table, nursing a cold beer. In front of me are 2 small gift boxes I finished wrapping this morning: a vintage Padres jersey for my brother Victor, and a leather-bound journal for my sister Clarissa. I spent weeks picking them out, thinking this year I'd make everything extra special. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you. I imagined us gathered around Mom's dining table like we used to, the good china reflecting candlelight, stories spilling over second helpings of turkey. But as I reach for my phone to call Mom and confirm what time I should arrive Thursday, something feels off. It's like the way you sense a storm brewing even when the sky looks clear. Mio? Mom's voice sounds careful when she picks up, like she's choosing her words before she speaks them. Hey, Mom, just wanted to check what time you want me there Thursday. I've got the gifts ready and... Marco, honey, she interrupts, and my stomach drops. This year, maybe you don't need to come. The words hit me like cold water. My hand tightens around the phone. What do you mean? I've already prepared everything. It's not that I don't want you here, she rushes to say, but I can hear the strain in her voice. It's just that Victor made reservations at this new place in La Jolla. He wants Thanksgiving to be special this year, and, well, you know how these restaurants are. Very upscale. Quote, I try to keep my voice steady, though my chest feels like it's being squeezed. So Victor doesn't want me there? Oh no, it's not exactly that, Marco, Mom clarifies quickly. It's just that this place is very refined, and you work with your hands, and you dress so casually. I'm worried you might feel out of place. Out of place. The words echo in my head like a bell that won't stop ringing. I want to tell her that I've been looking forward to this day for weeks, that I drove to 3 different shops to find Victor's jersey, that I have stories I wanted to share about the houses I've been fixing, but I don't say any of that. I understand, I say quietly. Have a good time. When I hang up, I sit there staring at the wrapped gifts on my table. The house suddenly feels too quiet, even with the window open and the evening breeze drifting through. I'm not angry. Not exactly. I just feel hollow, like I've been erased from a part of life I always thought I belonged to. After the call ends, I walk out to my garage and flip on the overhead light. The familiar smell of motor oil and sawdust wraps around me like an old blanket. My tools hang in perfect order on pegboard walls, wrenches sorted by size, screwdrivers lined up like soldiers. This is my sanctuary, the place where I think clearest. I pull out a worn leather notebook from my workbench drawer and flip it open. Inside, neat columns of numbers tell a story my family would never believe. Stock investments, property holdings, dividend payments. The current balance across all accounts, $2.3 million. It started 12 years ago when I was 23. Dad had just been diagnosed with diabetes, and the medical bills were crushing our family. Victor was in his 2nd year of law school, Clarissa was finishing her business degree, and Mom was working double shifts at the hospital. Someone had to step up. I dropped out of community college where I'd been studying engineering and picked up a job with Rodriguez Plumbing. Old man Rodriguez taught me everything: how to snake a drain, sweat copper pipes, diagnose water pressure problems. More importantly, he taught me that honest work had dignity, even if it didn't come with a diploma. Marco, He used to say while we worked side by side in cramped crawl spaces, "Rich people think money makes them smart. Smart people know that money is just a tool." By 25, I had my contractor's license and my own small business. I lived cheap. Rice and beans most nights, secondhand clothes, no cable TV. Every extra dollar went into index funds and real estate investment trusts. When the housing market crashed in 2008, I bought 3 foreclosed properties for cash. Fixed them up nights and weekends, rented them out to families who needed a fresh start. I never told anyone about the investments, not even when Victor started making jokes about my loser lifestyle, or when Clarissa would slip me $20 bills at Christmas like I was some charity case. Let them think what they wanted. I was building something they couldn't see. The money was never about showing off. It was about freedom. The freedom to say no to jobs that didn't respect me, to help neighbors who couldn't afford a plumber, to sleep peacefully knowing I could handle whatever life threw at me. I close the notebook and lean against my workbench. In the distance, I can hear kids playing in the street, their laughter mixing with the sound of evening traffic. This is my world. Simple, honest, real. But tonight, it feels lonelier than usual. My phone buzzes. A text from Dario. "Beer at my shop? You sound like you need to talk." Maybe I do. Dario's barbershop sits on the corner of 32nd and University, wedged between a taco shop and a laundromat. The red, white, and blue pole still spins outside, though it's seen better days. I push through the glass door, and the bell jingles the same way it has for 15 years. "There's my favorite millionaire," Dario says, without looking up from the customer in his chair. He's cutting the hair of an old man who's probably been coming here since the Carter administration. "Shut up," I mutter, but I'm smiling despite myself. Dario is the only person who knows about my financial situation, and he never lets me forget it. The shop smells like aftershave and leather, mixed with the faint aroma of street tacos from next door. Vintage boxing posters cover the walls. Ali, Pacquiao, De La Hoya, and a small radio plays oldies at low volume. This place is exactly what it appears to be, nothing hidden, nothing pretentious. 20 minutes later, the old man pays and leaves with a tip of his cap. Dario sweeps the hair into a dustpan and grabs 2 Coronas from the mini-fridge behind his station. "All right, hermano," he says, settling into the empty barber chair next to mine. "Talk to me. You sounded like someone kicked your dog." Quote. I tell him about the phone call, about Mom's awkward explanation, about Victor's fancy restaurant plans. Dario listens without interrupting, occasionally shaking his head or taking a long pull from his beer. "So let me get this straight," he says when I finish. "Your baby brother, the one who leases his BMW and lives paycheck to paycheck, thinks you're too embarrassing for Thanksgiving dinner? That's about the size of it." Dario laughs, but there's no humor in it. "And what's the name of this fancy place?" "Alvarado House, in La Jolla." His eyebrows shoot up. "That overpriced fusion place? The one that charges $30 for fish tacos?" "You know it?" "My cousin's girlfriend works there. Says the owner's some old white guy who's never worked a day in his life." Dario leans forward, his dark eyes serious. "Marco, you've been hiding who you are for too long. Maybe it's time they see the real you." "I don't want revenge, Dario. I just wanted to be invited." "I'm not talking about revenge," he says, standing up and pacing the small shop. "I'm talking about dignity. You don't need to humiliate them, but why should you keep pretending to be less than you are?" Telling and preparing this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now, back to the story. Because that's not who I am. "No, hermano, that's exactly who you are. You just forgot." I drain my beer and stand to leave. "Thanks for listening." "Any time. But Marco," he calls as I reach the door. "Sometimes the best way to show people who you really are is to stop hiding." Driving home from Dario's, I take a detour through La Jolla. I tell myself it's just curiosity, but deep down I know I need to see this place that's supposedly too good for me. Alvarado House sits on a quiet corner, all glass and steel with warm lighting spilling onto the sidewalk. Through the windows, I can see white tablecloths and people in expensive clothes laughing over wine. It looks exactly like the kind of place Victor would choose, impressive from the outside, designed to make you feel either very important or very small. That's when I notice the small sign tucked discreetly in the corner of the window. Business for sale, serious inquiries only. I sit in my truck for 10 minutes, engine running, staring at those words. Dario's voice echoes in my head. Sometimes, the best way to show people who you really are is to stop hiding. The next morning, I'm back. This time I park and walk through the front door like I belong there. Good morning. Can I help you? The woman behind the hostess stand is Asian, probably in her 30s, with sharp eyes and an air of quiet competence. Her name tag reads, Avery Lynn, Manager. I saw the sign in the window, I say, suddenly aware of my work boots on the polished floor, about the business being for sale. She studies me for a moment, and I brace myself for the polite dismissal. Instead, she says, Are you interested in purchasing or just curious? Purchasing. Cash deal, if the numbers make sense. Something shifts in her expression. Let me get you some coffee. We should talk. 20 minutes later, I'm sitting across from her at a corner table, learning about profit margins and overhead costs. The owner, she explains, is retiring to Arizona and wants a quick, clean sale. Mind if I ask what line of work you're in? Avery asks, refilling my coffee cup. I fix things. Houses mostly, but I've been investing on the side. She nods slowly. My dad was a mechanic. Worked 16-hour days to put me through business school. She pauses. Most people who come in here asking about buying the place want to turn it into something flashier. What would you do with it? Keep it exactly as it is, I say without hesitation. Maybe just run it better. For the first time since I walked in, she smiles. When would you want to close? How about Friday? Her eyebrows raise. This Friday? As in, the day after Thanksgiving? Actually, I was thinking before Thanksgiving, like tomorrow. Avery sets down her coffee cup and looks at me directly. Mr. Reyes. Marco Reyes. Mr. Reyes, are you serious about this? I reach into my jacket and pull out my phone, opening my banking app. I turn the screen toward her. Dead serious. She stares at the numbers for a long moment, then looks back at my worn flannel shirt and scuffed boots. When she speaks again, her voice is respectful in a way it wasn't before. I'll call the owner right now. Wednesday evening, I sign the final papers in the restaurant's back office. The seller, a tired-looking man named Harrison, shakes my hand and wishes me luck. By Thursday morning, Alvarado House officially belongs to me. So what's the plan, boss? Avery asks, as we walk through the dining room together. She's been calling me that since the papers were signed. But there's warmth in it, not mockery. No plan, I say, running my hand along one of the polished tables. Tonight runs exactly as scheduled. Same menu, same service, same everything. And the reservation at 7, table 12 by the window? I pause. Reyes family, party of 4. Yeah, that stays. Avery nods, understanding more than she's saying. We've danced around the subject all day, but she's smart enough to piece it together. A guy named Reyes buys a restaurant cash the day before Thanksgiving, insists on keeping a Reyes family reservation intact, and asks for a quiet table in the back where he can observe unnoticed. You want me to treat them special, she asks. Treat them perfect, I correct, just like any other guests who deserve excellent service. The kitchen is already prepping for the evening rush. I watch the cooks work, efficient, focused, taking pride in their craft. These people depend on this place for their livelihoods. Whatever happens tonight, I won't let my family drama affect their jobs. There's something you should know, Avery says as we inspect the wine inventory. Your brother called this afternoon, wanted to confirm the reservation and asked about parking for his BMW. I almost laugh. Of course Victor called. He probably wanted to make sure they knew how important he was. What did you tell him? That we'd take excellent care of the Reyes family. Around 5 o'clock, the staff starts their final preparations. Candles are lit, fresh flowers arranged, the sound system tested. I change into clean jeans and a button-down shirt. Still me, but presentable. You nervous? Avery asks, finding me standing by the kitchen door. Not nervous. Just curious. About what? About who they really are when they think no one's watching. She considers this. And if it hurts? Seeing them celebrate without you? I've been asking myself the same question all day. Then at least I'll know where I stand. At 6:30, Avery shows me to a small table tucked behind a decorative partition near the back. I can see the entire dining room, but I'm practically invisible to the guests. This is either the classiest middle finger in history, she says, adjusting my water glass, or the saddest thing I've ever witnessed. Maybe both. At 7 o'clock sharp, my family walks through the front door. From my hidden corner, I watch them enter like actors taking their places on stage. Victor leads the way in a charcoal suit that probably cost more than most people's monthly rent. His hair is perfectly styled, his smile wide and confident as he shakes hands with the hostess. Behind him, Clarissa glides in, wearing a cream-colored dress and heels that click against the hardwood floor. She looks elegant, polished, like she belongs in magazines. Mom follows, dressed in her best navy blue outfit, the one she wears to church on Easter. She's trying to match their energy, but I can see the slight tension in her shoulders, the way she smooths her skirt twice. Even after all these years, she still feels the need to prove herself worthy of her own children's approval. Right this way, Mr. Reyes, Avery says, leading them to table 12. I watch Victor's chest puff out slightly at being addressed so formally. He probably thinks she recognizes him from somewhere important. They settle into their seats, and within minutes, the wine arrives. Victor makes a show of tasting it, swirling the glass like he's some kind of expert. I know for a fact he learned everything he knows about wine from YouTube videos. This place is perfect, Clarissa says, loud enough for nearby tables to hear. So much more sophisticated than Mom's dining room. The words hit me like a slap. Mom's dining room, where we spent every holiday growing up, where she'd set the table with her grandmother's china and light candles, even though we were just eating Thanksgiving leftovers, where she'd insist we all share what we were grateful for, before anyone could touch their food. It really is lovely, Mom agrees quietly, but I catch the hurt that flickers across her face. Victor raises his glass. To family, to success, to surrounding ourselves with excellence. They toast, and I watch Mom's smile falter for just a moment. She knows, somewhere deep down, that this isn't what family is supposed to feel like. For the next hour, I observe them like a nature documentary. Victor dominates the conversation, telling elaborate stories about his latest real estate deals. I happen to know half of them fell through, but he spins them like victories. Clarissa nods and laughs at all the right moments, occasionally checking her phone for social media notifications. It's so peaceful without all the blue-collar energy, Clarissa says as they wait for dessert. Don't you think, Mom? Mom takes a sip of wine and doesn't answer directly. Marco works very hard. Of course he does, Victor says dismissively. But there's a difference between working hard and working smart. Some people are just meant for different things. Different things. Like they're talking about a pet that needs to be kept outside. I realize something sitting there, watching them celebrate my absence. This isn't just exclusion. This is erasure. They're not just having dinner without me. They're having dinner as if I never existed. The next morning, I'm in my garage organizing tools when my phone starts buzzing. Text after text, all from Clarissa. Marco, we need to talk. Call me back, please. I saw the announcement in the Union Tribune. I ignore them and keep working. My hands stay busy while my mind processes last night. Watching them celebrate my absence had been painful, but also clarifying. I finally saw what I'd been refusing to acknowledge for years. Around noon, my phone rings. This time it's Victor, and he sounds furious. "What the hell do you think you're playing at?" he demands without even saying hello. "Good morning to you too, Victor." "Don't give me that. I just left that restaurant, and some manager told me, 'You own the place?' That's impossible." I can picture him standing in Alvarado House's parking lot, probably pacing next to his leased BMW, his face red with indignation. "Why is it impossible?" "Because he catches himself before finishing the sentence, but I know what he was going to say. "Because you're a handyman. Because you're nobody. Because you don't matter." "I'm a what, Victor?" Silence on the other end. Then, How could you possibly afford that place?" "Maybe you don't know me as well as you think you do." I hang up and go back to my tools. 20 minutes later, Clarissa pulls into my driveway. Through the window, I watch her sit in her car for a full minute before getting out. She's traded yesterday's elegant dress for jeans and a sweater, like she's trying to dress down for the occasion. "Marco," she calls, standing at the garage entrance. I don't look up from the engine I'm rebuilding. "What do you want, Clarissa?" "I want to understand what happened." "Which part?" She steps into the garage, her expensive shoes looking out of place on the oil-stained concrete. "All of it. The restaurant. The money. Why you didn't tell us?" I finally look at her. "When would I have told you? During one of our weekly coffee dates? Or maybe at one of the family dinners I wasn't invited to?" "That's not fair." "Isn't it?" I set down my wrench and face her fully. "You called my life blue-collar energy. Victor thinks I'm too embarrassing for public. Mom goes along with whatever you two decide. When exactly was I supposed to share my financial portfolio?" Clarissa looks uncomfortable, shifting from foot to foot. "We didn't mean it like that." "How did you mean it?" She can't answer, because we both know there's no good way to explain what they said. No charitable interpretation of their words. "The manager at the restaurant," Clarissa says quietly, "Avery. She said you bought the place last week, right after you uninvited me to Thanksgiving? Yeah, that's about right." "So this was revenge?" I laugh, but there's no humor in it. "No, Clarissa. This was clarity." 2 hours later, I'm sitting across from Victor and Clarissa at a corner table in Café Luna, a small coffee shop downtown that none of us would call fancy. Victor insisted we meet somewhere neutral, though the way he keeps glancing around suggests he's worried someone might see him here. "I still don't understand how you afforded it," Victor says for the third time, his voice tight with frustration. "That place had to cost at least $2 million. 2.3, I correct, stirring my black coffee slowly, and I paid cash. His jaw drops. "That's impossible." "You keep using that word. I don't think it means what you think it means." Clarissa leans forward. "Marco, where did the money come from? Really?" "The same place yours comes from. Work. Investment. Saving instead of spending every dime on appearances." Victor's face flushes red. "Are you implying that I'm not implying anything. I'm stating facts. You lease a BMW you can't afford, live in an apartment that costs 60% of your income, and put designer clothes on credit cards. Meanwhile, I drive a paid-off truck, own my house outright, and invest the difference." "But you're a handyman," Clarissa says, like she's trying to solve a puzzle that doesn't make sense. "So? So handymen don't become millionaires." I take a long sip of coffee, letting the silence stretch. "According to who?" "According to reality," Victor snaps. "According to how the world works. People like us go to college, get professional careers, build wealth the right way." "The right way," I repeat his words slowly. "And what way is that, exactly?" "The way where you graduate law school with $100,000 in debt, then spend the next decade paying it off while trying to look successful? Or the way where you judge your own brother for choosing a different path?" Clarissa shifts uncomfortably. "We never judged you." "Really? Because yesterday you said it was peaceful without all the blue-collar energy. That sounds like judgment to me." She winces. "I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that." "You shouldn't have thought it." Victor slams his hand on the table, making our coffee cups jump. "This is ridiculous. You bought that restaurant just to humiliate us. to make some petty point about money. I stand up slowly, leaving a $5 bill on the table. You know what's funny, Victor? I didn't buy it for you, I bought it for me. Because for the first time in my life, I realized I don't need permission to exist in spaces you think are too good for me. That's not what this is about, Clarissa protests. Isn't it? I look between them, these two people who share my blood but feel like strangers. You taught me that my worth is measured by your approval, that my success only counts if it fits your definition. Well, congratulations, you taught me something valuable. What's that? Victor asks mockingly. That I don't need your approval. I never did. I walk toward the door, then pause and turn back. Oh, and Victor? The next time you want to celebrate somewhere I supposedly don't belong, you might want to check who owns the place first. 3 days after the confrontation at the coffee shop, I come home from work to find a cream-colored envelope tucked between my front door and the frame. No postmark, no delivery stamp. Someone had driven here and left it by hand. My name is written across the front in Mom's careful cursive, the same handwriting that used to appear on birthday cards and permission slips when I was young. I carry it inside, set it on my kitchen table, and stare at it for 20 minutes while I drink a beer and eat leftover pizza. Finally, I tear it open. My dearest Marco, I don't know if you'll read this, and I wouldn't blame you if you threw it away without opening it. I've been sitting at my kitchen table for 3 days trying to find the right words, and I'm not sure these are them, but I have to try. I failed you. Not just on Thanksgiving, but for years before that. I let Victor and Clarissa's opinions become my own, and I lost sight of the son who used to fix my broken faucets without being asked, who saved his allowance to buy me flowers on Mother's Day, who dropped out of school to help our family when your father got sick. You were always the strongest of my children, Marco. Maybe that's why I leaned on you so much and protected you so little. I thought you could handle the unfairness, the casual dismissals, the way they treated your work like it was somehow less valuable than theirs. I thought you understood that I was proud of you even when I didn't say it. But I was wrong. Strength doesn't mean you don't need love. Resilience doesn't mean you don't deserve respect. And being the oldest doesn't mean you should always be the one who sacrifices. I know about the restaurant. Clarissa told me everything. About the money. About what you've built. About what they said to you that night. I'm not writing to ask for forgiveness, because I don't think I deserve it. I'm writing to tell you that I'm proud of who you've become, not because of what you own or how much money you've made, but because you stayed true to yourself even when we made it hard. You were never too poor for Thanksgiving, me, Joe. We were too proud to see how rich we already were with you at our table. I love you, and I'm sorry. Mom. I read the letter twice, then fold it carefully and set it down. My eyes burn, and for the first time since this whole thing started, I let myself cry. Not the bitter tears of anger or disappointment, but something deeper. Grief for the years we lost, relief that she finally sees me, and a small, fragile hope that maybe it's not too late to rebuild something real. Outside, the sun is setting over San Diego, painting my small kitchen in warm orange light. I pick up my phone and scroll to Mom's number, then set it down again. Not yet, but maybe soon. 1 year later, Alvarado House looks different on Thanksgiving night. The formal white tablecloths have been replaced with warm burgundy ones, and the lighting is softer, more welcoming. Instead of the usual upscale clientele, the dining room is filled with people who might not have anywhere else to go. Elderly neighbors, young families struggling to make ends meet, workers pulling double shifts who just need a good meal and some company. I started this tradition 6 months after buying the place. Community Thanksgiving, Avery suggested we call it. Free dinner for anyone who needs it, no questions asked, no proof of hardship required, just show up and you'll be fed. You ready for this? Dario asks, adjusting his tie. He volunteered to help serve tonight, though he keeps complaining that the borrowed dress shirt makes him look like a politician. More ready than I've ever been for anything, I tell him, watching our team of volunteers, half restaurant staff, half neighbors, put the finishing touches on table settings. The first guests arrive at 5 o'clock, an elderly man who lives alone 3 blocks away, a young mother with 2 kids whose husband is deployed overseas, a construction crew getting off their shift. By 6:30, every seat is filled, and the sound of conversation and laughter fills the space. I move between tables, checking on people, refilling water glasses, listening to stories. This is what Thanksgiving should feel like. Warm, inclusive, real. No one here cares what I do for work or how much money I have. They're just grateful for the food and the company. At 7 o'clock, I stand at the front of the room with a microphone, something I never thought I'd be comfortable doing. I want to thank everyone for being here tonight, I begin, my voice carrying over the gentle din. A year ago, I learned something important about family. Sometimes the people who share your blood aren't the ones who see your worth, and sometimes the people who see your worth become your real family. I pause, looking out at faces both familiar and new. So tonight I'm grateful for all of you, for choosing to be here, for choosing community over isolation, for showing me what it means to build something that matters. As I'm wrapping up my short speech, I notice a familiar figure slip quietly through the front door. Mom stands in the entryway, wearing a simple blue dress and looking nervous. Our eyes meet across the crowded room. I don't rush over to her. Instead, I nod, a small acknowledgement that she's welcome here, but not an invitation to take over. She finds an empty chair at a table in the back and sits down quietly, accepting a plate from one of our volunteers. For now, that's enough. She's here not as the matriarch demanding attention, but as someone willing to witness what I've built. Someone ready to see who I really am. The conversation resumes around us, and I smile. This is my table now. This is my family. Up next, we have 2 more incredible stories that are waiting for you. Just click the image you want to watch, and it will take you there. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe. It would mean a lot.